Hey fans, welcome back to PopCon, and joining us for another Pop Conversation, I am your host, Victor, the Gen Xer, and I'm here, of course, with my buddy, the Millennial, Thomas from Thomas Goes Nostalgic. Hey, Thomas.
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad at all. Tonight's Pop Conversation is all about the must-have toys of our respective generations. I'm sure you've got a few from yours.
That's right. And I think kind of the inspiration to this conversation is, if you've ever seen the movie Jingle All the Way, where Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad, they're fighting over getting the last toy for their kid. That really showed the mania of parents trying to get those figures for their kids. So here I have Turbo Man. I didn't have to fight for that one. It was a re-release from this Christmas. But what were the toys that really got the parents crazy that they needed to get us, the kids? So, you know, you come from a different generation than me. What were the ones that you felt fell in that bracket?
You know, that's funny. I know for a fact, I think most people can look back to my generation and remember one huge one, the year it got ugly. But I know in your generation too, there was another couple that just got as, like you said, hysterical. So yeah, we'll probably get to my biggie of the 1980s in just a moment. But I look back at my generation, and if you remember, my generation was a world where there was accompanying, if you weren't a good cartoon, you weren't a good toy line without a good cartoon. So yeah, it's pretty important in my era. But let's see. One of the best, I'll start with really something easy. In 1980, Rubik's Cube. Now, this didn't cause the hysteria like Turbo Man, but what it did was cause something that I don't think we'd seen before. A must-have that was so intense. Everybody needed it so badly. And this was funny. This was a Hungarian teaching aid by a Hungarian architect teacher, and he made it in like 1974 called the Magic Cube. But it comes to America and everybody needs this simple thing. But it was a learning tool at the same time. It was just a lot of fun. And yeah, everybody cheated. But that year wasn't it. It wasn't just 1980. It was popular for so many years after that. Now, a lot of toys got it, kind of like replaced it, but it had its own cartoon in 1983, Rubik and the Magic Cube. Now, it's still around. I mean, it's been on The Simpsons. It's been in movies. It has been everywhere. So its pop culture relevance is super important. So I look at that Rubik's as sort of that, like, hey, gotta have it, beyond the pet rock in the 70s.
And that's not like that quintessential toy that if they want to show someone in a movie's really smart, they like figure out the Rubik's Cube.
Oh my God, that is so true. It's like a simple plot device. Oh my God, look, we need him. He's great. And now what about you? So that's a really early one. What about your generation?
The first one that I can probably remember is Beanie Babies. Now, I think there was, before social media, the people that were buying up Beanie Babies created this like weird social network. So they knew like what stores to go to, and it wasn't just big box retailers. They were like attacking Hallmark stores, you know, all these like little local greeting card stores. And you just think like they thought that they were going to put their kids through college with these things.
I do remember that. What year did they come out?
Oh, I want to say 93 or 94. I could be wrong.
No, I think you're right, around that same era. And how did they do it without social media? Because it did seem like a community of obsessed fans.
Yeah, I think there was some kind of like brochure or newsletter dedicated to it. And I think what kind of created the hype is that the creator, I think his first name was Ty. I always thought.
Yeah, probably. I think you're right.
But he would do this thing where it was kind of like the Walt Disney video cassettes where they put them back in the vault.
Oh, yes.
It was kind of the same thing, only they would take these Beanie Babies and say, all right, this one's going back into retirement. You're never going to be able to get it again. And then he just kept doing it. And then finally, like when there was no more that they were creating, they're like, oh, hey, all those ones you said never will come back again, they're back. And then the price of them all just like plummeted.
I remember them in mini marts, not just greeting. I remember them in mini marts, and I'd see them, and I'd heard, because I was I was hearing about them, like, they're right here. Why are these so big and popular? And there was a couple, like, there was an elephant and a zebra, and they were like, had to have. So what caused their downfall? Just because they flooded the market at the end?
Yeah, I think it was really that, like, trying to create demand where there really wasn't a demand, and then people finally caught on that there's no exclusivity. I think that's why collectors now get so mad, like when they re-release figures. Only it's a little different now. Now, you know, they're redecoing it, and there's new collectors coming to the scene all the time. So it's a little different, but like they were releasing the same exact ones to the same exact market, where now they can't even sell their Beanie Babies. I think the only one that's worth anything is the Princess Diana Beanie Baby. I think that one's still worth a hefty penny.
That makes sense. If you got that, folks, keep it clean, keep it pure. So yeah. All right. So I'll move on. And going back to, let's see, action figures. So I got Turbo Man there from the movie. So action figures were just booming after 1982, 1983. But in 1984, the Transformers came to America. But a few months before them, Tonka debuted GoBots. And GoBots were popular, but there was tons of them. There was Robo Transform, and there was Trans-Robot tuning things, and Electro Robo. So there was tons of these transforming things that were happening because I think the market started to hear. And this was getting huge. Tonka may have come out with the GoBots first, but Transformers had Marvel behind them. So Marvel writers created a backstory, created names, created a color scheme, and we made sure that they put them out, all of that, and suddenly, boom, GoBots were dead. And it was one of those Christmases in 1984 that you were like, please God, let Aunt Joe give me a Transformer, not a GoBot. So it was really important to kids. Now, believe me, I got Spacey the Space Shuttle, and even their names were inferior. So Transformers are huge in 84. And as a matter of fact, this is my very first Transformer. This is Hoist, the pickup truck. Hoist was in the G1 cartoon. So yeah, this is still die-cast metal, all rubber tires still there. They would never make these toys like that now. But Hoist is the first one. I got him at Kmart. I had a choice between Grimlock the dinosaur, and I like dinosaurs. I don't know why I picked the pickup truck. Anyway.
Was that your childhood one, or did you have to get that later on?
Which one?
Was that your childhood? Or
yeah, no. I've kept this is one of the very, very few actual vintage. I mean, even the Autobot symbol is not even complete on there anymore. I mean, it is
well loved.
It's well loved. So, and well loose. Doesn't really keep its form. I usually have it in robot form there, but I just had it on the truck there. But yeah, so 1984, that was huge. And actually so huge, want to go ahead and watch a video with you.
Move over, Cabbage Patch. There's a new kid on the block. A robot which can be transformed into other objects. It's the new craze sweeping the country, one which has caught the imagination.
Oh, back when package artwork was king. That's awesome.
One toy. You can take it and say a transformer can be a car, and you convert it into a plane or a pistol or some other kind of a toy. And it's very interesting. It's got a lot of moving parts, and it's an educational type toy.
Okay, well, educational, and then they show Megatron the gun.
They have had to reorder the product several times this Christmas season due to their popularity. All devices come
there it is, Convertibots, Powerbots, a lot of different versions of these transformation or transforming robots.
Arms and legs. The result product is a tape recorder.
Not a working tape recorder, mind you. Hey, I'm older.
Together may look complicated, but actually they're not. Just ask an expert. These fellows predict this new breed of toy will replace the Cabbage Patch Kid as
yes, an expert in what?
The ultimate compliment came from 8-year-old John Lowry.
Yeah. Girls even like to play with them. My cousins like to play with them.
Ooh, girls get to too. That's awesome. That was just kind of a local debut, and you saw all the different kinds of robot converters that were out there. Funny thing about Transformers, they got the last laugh. Obviously, they are still around, but that's not as important as they bought the GoBots. So now Hasbro owns the GoBots and all of those characters. So they're the big craze.
It'd be cool if they transform by all the GoBots. Is that in the works?
Yeah, they've done a couple of them. They have done a couple. They keep their name, they keep their kind of feel, but they haven't given them a lot of action figure love, but they do appear in the comics.
Yeah, there has to be some fan base for the GoBots.
Absolutely. What about you? What's another one from your time period?
I think the next one, I'm gonna say 95, 96, has to be Tickle Me Elmo.
Oh yeah, okay.
Now the Tickle
you went right for the Juggernaut with that. I mean, that's the biggie, isn't it?
I think I got one more.
Okay.
I mean, I think the Tickle Me Elmo is so weird because Elmo's been around for years, and he had an action feature where he kind of just shook and laughed. But we've had toys like that, Teddy Ruxpin, and I had a Big Bird that was like Teddy Ruxpin, where you put the cassette tape in his butt and he sung a song, But,
I'd sing if I had a tape in my butt.
Right? Not that Transformer though; he doesn't work.
Not that one. So, what do you think made it so different?
I think maybe just the cuteness, and it was just the simple, small, plush stuffed animal with electronics. But that is the one where I first remember people on the news going batshit crazy, just trampling over each other. And we saw that later on with Black Friday sales. But when that thing went on sale, it was Black Friday every day.
Every day.
No one could find it. So
You
I
know,
think that would be a top 2 for me.
Tickle Me Elmo. So Elmo, as far as I remember, was having a resurgence in Muppet World. Like, he was this newer character that had a younger demographic and suddenly was becoming new and popular Muppet. And so I remember that happening. So suddenly they came out with Elmo toys, big deal. But this one just freaking giggled to his, he was having a seizure. And here's Elmo, who's I think talking, and it's sound clips as well as just like insane, right?
Well, it's crazy. Like, I had like Electronic Sesame Street one. I had that big bird I was talking about. The weirdest one that I had was an Oscar the Grouch. So he was a plush animatronic Oscar the Grouch. And
Really?
he had the same videotape thing where you put the tape.
The audio tape, just like, okay, I didn't know that. All right, didn't hear that
With a
one.
hard plastic trash can with a hard plastic trash can hat.
Aw, hey Oscar.
So the playability of that, I can see the allure of Tickle Me Elmo and
Yeah.
why people lost their mind over it.
Absolutely, totally agree. So that is funny. When I saw Tickle Me Elmo's Hysteria, I did look and say, well, I didn't know we'd have it again, but it's 1983 all over again. Because obviously Cabbage Patch Kids for my generation were huge. Although boys and girls both would get them, obviously it was so much more of a girl thing, and they would have multiple. And these things were generally anywhere from 25 to 50 bucks. But in 1983, there were the fights. There weren't enough. They didn't really realize their popularity, and everybody wanted one. And there were also the fakers. They weren't like GoBot fakers. People actually did like the GoBots, but they were faker Cabbage Patch Kids, and kids would lose their shit. So it was like parents were like, I've got to have it. And they were fascinating because they also had those adoption papers.
Oh.
But I don't know about you. Just looking back, it was the first time we saw grown men and women, parents, so much older than you'd imagine, just being football players and just ransacking the next person to make sure they got one. They were very limited. So it was an insanity that I didn't see again until Tickle Me Elmo. And I do believe the movie, so Turbo Man and that movie, it is kind of based on those crazes. And did it come after Tickle Me Elmo?
I think it was right after, so there's no way that whole promotion of Tickle Me Elmo didn't inspire that movie. Because
Absolutely.
Just the parents, like, they would throw the balls up in the air if you got a ball. And then just
No way. It's a lottery.
Arnold Schwarzenegger trying to get a ball out of a kid's mouth just so he could get this toy to not be a failure of a parent.
Yeah, that is what is so sad, to not be a failure of a parent. It's almost like when divorced parents are like, I need my kid to love me more. So that is what was going on. Hey folks, I've got a couple more, but just remember, engage with us right now. Do the comments, please write us. If this is interesting to you, let us know what you'd like to hear. Also, if there's some other must-have toy of your generation, let us know what it is. Click that subscribe button. It really helps us out because you will be here every Friday. Show us a little love with a like. You know, going back to my generation, which is funny, Thomas, because I'm looking going, these are clearly different. When you mentioned Beanie Babies in 93, I was busy. I was in a career already. So when I look back and I'm like, okay, we know that Cabbage Patch was 1983 insanity. We know Rubik's became this, like, everybody's got to have one. And that one stays with us. People can still get a Rubik's Cube and enjoy it. Cabbage Patch Kid finally failed out. And you mentioned Teddy Ruxpin. So that's an interesting story because that and laser tag are very similar. They both are from a company called Worlds of Wonder. Now, in 1985, Teddy Ruxpin's huge. A Disney Imagineer helped create this tape deck piece where put the tape deck in, a track controls the audio, the left track, I think it was that. The right track was one way, left track was the animation, and people loved it. Now, this toy sat there and was like, hi, can you be my friend? That was it. And it was more hypnotic and frightening, but it was super popular. It was the number one in 1985 and 86 in that demographic. But the company makes this other great thing called laser tag. And laser tag is huge in 1986. Now, there are already laser tag arenas because a counter company called Photon comes out at the exact same time, but they've already been doing arenas. So they've been doing live sporting, action outside kind of things. But at the same time laser tag comes out, Photon comes out as well. Same year, just and same kind of toy. But laser tag, being part of Worlds of Wonder, being part of Teddy Ruxpin, actually does a little better, which is great. Good for them. They're both out there. And they both have accompanying cartoons, as one does in the 80s. One was called Photon and one was called Laser Tag Academy. But unfortunately, with some incidences with gun violence and being a young person being shot because of mistaking that identity. Worlds of Wonder went bankrupt in 1988, so that didn't last long. But everybody loved having those things on their chest and those guns firing the infrared, which was awesome because you could do it through other toys and TV. So that was a huge one in '86.
Yeah, I remember, like, I had the Photon. I don't know if it passed down to me, but I just remember that clunky helmet.
Yes.
With the visor. And then I think we talked about it, but that's the one that they used in Big.
Yeah, correct. You're right. And I think this is where the transition happens, because Photon lasted a year longer, to be perfectly honest. It lasted till 89 when they ceased production, but laser tag was already out in 88. And that's really that transition for me, through some high school at that point. So yeah, I think that's funny when we're talking about our lists. We remember that laser tag, Photon there, and they do kind of transcend our generation. But yeah, you had Photon probably at the time again.
Yeah, and then also if you were able to go to an actual like laser tag place, you know, you could do it at home at night in your backyard, or you can go to like laser tag place with inflatable like barriers where you can like bounce off of.
Yeah. You said, yeah, I think you had mentioned you used to go to one that had some like Hooter girls there, right?
Oh yeah, we had one in Orlando called Hard Knocks, where it was basically they would hire Hooter type girls, and they all look like Tomb Raider to me.
They're all Laura Croft giving you your stuff.
And they'll be holding this giant laser tag gun. They're like, all right, this is how you use it.
I knew it. You know what's funny? It should have been called Hard Knockers. But anyway, we digress. So yeah, that's pretty cool. That is, I love that. The arenas seem to last longer. I mean, they were cool because when you shot, there was not just the blinking lights, but the vibration, right?
Yeah.
So you ended up like Tickle Me Elmo. So that's pretty cool. So, you know, I think back in my generation, there were definitely tons of must-have toys, but I look and I know Cabbage Patch Kids were definitely a killer hysteria. I know everyone wanted Rubik's Cube and they've lasted. I know everybody wanted a Transformer and they didn't want the GoBot and they've lasted. And then, hey, poor laser tag. But Teddy Ruxpin and the Tickle Me Elmo, those things still progress. People love a little tech toy, even in their soft, cuddly friends. So it's kind of neat where we saw the transition there between the generations, but it just repeats itself, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think Tickle Me Elmo's made a resurgence in like a different style, but I think they've done it in like other Sesame Street characters, like Abby Cadabby, modern day, where the parents that like were like the kids that got Tickle Me Elmo are now like, I gotta buy you this because I have this.
That's true. And that's a lot with Moto Origins, Masters of the Universe Origins. You know, the whole intent that these figures look almost identical to the 1982, 83 releases is that it was supposed to get parents of that era to go, I played with this, I want you to have it. Hey, before we go, a couple of things. One is, we just had Mother's Day, and I wanted to hear you, because, you know, we talk about cartoons and toys a lot, but let me just ask you, when you think of your generation, and besides your wonderful mother, I'm sure that you communicated with last Sunday, what were some of those really, those pop culture moms that you look back and like, oh, they were so awesome, I love, or that's my mom, that's what I want my mom to be. What was that like?
I'm going to go with two different ones. I'll go with one actress or one person from a real show, and I'll go with one animated one.
Okay.
I'll start with the animated one first. Have you ever seen The Land Before Time?
I've seen the original Land Before Time.
I guess we'll just call her Mother because I don't think she ever had a name. But Littlefoot's mother.
Oh, she was very caring.
And then she dies right at the beginning.
I was going to say, that's so Bambi's mother. I think Bambi's mother, she's dead.
But I mean, that one, when I always think of like a mother figure, I'm like, man,
that's great.
And she's still in spirit, got him to go all the way to the Great Valley.
The Great Valley. I was like, I know this. That's cool. That's a great one. I love it. Love it. What is the other?
I think I'll have to go with, is it Claire Huxtable?
Yeah, Felicia Rashad. Yeah, from the comic.
Yeah, I mean, I love that show. I loved her. She kind of, you know, despite Bill Cosby stuff, she kind of kept him in line, but she always gave that look.
She did have a look of discipline. Her discipline was simply a stare.
All the time, but she was just like all business, but all love too. So she was
100%.
That cool mom, but that also like, you better watch out or she'll whip your butt.
I like that. And yeah, you know what? We can talk about Felicia Rashad without Bill, so it's okay. She's great. She actually just gave some honorary doctorates to some actors and celebrities just recently, which is very cool of her. So I look back and I think of some great moms. In fact, I have three. They're all live action. You know what I love about what you said about the sitcom, or Felicia Rashad, Cosby Show? that transcends. Cartoons don't often transcend generation because it seems to be more of a kid centric thing. But no matter our ages, we were watching Cosby Show, which is kind of cool and probably a conversation for another time. So mine was Family Ties. I really thought that Meredith Baxter Birney's character of Miss Elise Keaton was definitely a mother figure that I liked watching. But quite honestly, I think Ellen Ripley from Alien is partly who I like. I'd want her as a mother, especially how she treats Newt in Aliens. And then finally, because she looked like my mom, Jessica Fletcher from Murder, She Wrote. So I totally think that Jessica Fletcher Murder, She Wrote is my mother. So yeah, those are kind of my mom loves from growing up.
That's awesome. I was just talking about Murder, She Wrote with somebody.
Yeah, I love that show. It's so crazy now to watch, but I can't help it but like.
Because I guess that had an attraction at Universal Studios.
Oh, my mother and father were in it. Yes, it was called the Murder, She Wrote Mystery Theater.
Oh, that's awesome. They were in it?
Yeah, because it was they needed a lot of volunteers. Think of it, very old Disney MGM Studios, if anyone's ever been there. Very, get people out, do things, multiple stages to hurry up and get the episode made. We need help from the audience, So it was definitely that. It was a lot of fun. You can find it on YouTube. So,
awesome.
Hey, real quick too. So you just debuted a show. So tell me about that.
Yeah, I debuted an episode where I'm making effects for my dioramas. It was some trial and error because I made lots of mistakes, but I think it's important for people to see the mistakes I make. So
yeah, absolutely.
They can either avoid the mistakes or they can look at it. And if usually people in the toy community, they could be helpful. So if they're watching it, they can say, hey man, this is probably how you can do it better. But then I was trying to do it really difficult. And then I just went back to doing it just simple, because most people, if they just want to grab and do it, I determined that was the best thing to show. Like if you just want to get up and do it, these are the two things you need, and this is how you do it. So
hey, even if you didn't do it to the best that you thought you could, the internet is not shy. So people, if you're watching, give Thomas some feedback. I'm just kidding. Watch his channel. I'll have a link in my description, of course. And me, I just released another Thundercat unboxing. I'm so excited because these Super 7 Ultimates are great, and I'm so excited to keep adding them, and I've almost got them all. So just debuted that yesterday. Check out that next unboxing. And thanks for joining us here. Really appreciate it. Let us know who your favorite TV or pop culture mothers were. Someone that you looked up to or thought, wouldn't she be great as my mom? Or maybe even reminded you of that. Hope you enjoyed looking at our must-haves, and you'll comment on that as well. Love that you were here. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Thomas, got any words?
Yeah. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.
Catch you next time. Until, bye now. Awesome.
Get away from her, you